just a quick introduction. So we're going to have a presentation by Cherry Backert. We have Johan Herner here, a partner for the group. So Cherry Backert has been looking pretty intensely into the AI space as a part of their client offering. They recently delivered essentially the same presentation you're going to see now to one of the big corporate clients, and it was met with applause, as far as I understand. Generated a lot of interest. So you are getting a glimpse into some professional insights on what AI means or will mean very soon to our financial profession. So with that, I'll let Johan continue.
Yeah, thanks. Welcome, guys. Generative AI, hot topic. My name is Johanna. I'm a partner here in our advisory practice, and we're helping clients with these type of questions, kind of navigating new technology, navigating kind of significant disruptions in the industry. And the background for this presentation was really driven by a client request saying, hey, we read so much about Gen AI. What is this really? There's a lot of noise. What you can read, different definitions, and just doing like a level set with their team, and then thinking through a couple current case studies and applications which you can use. You can use off-the-shelf solutions, or you can, kind of go deeper and really have something developed for your organization. So that's kind of the basic root cause for having that discussion, and really focusing on not kind of reinventing the wheel, kind of trying to see if technology can be layered over existing applications, and then organizations can take advantage of generative AI. Before we get into the presentation, just the sounding here, and I can't see you guys, so maybe you can raise your hand, but who has played around with ChatGPT so far? And more from a kind of fun perspective, like a replacement of Google, or more like really helping get work tasks done?
Not finding particularly useful for work tasks.
What's the hiccup?
It's not a hiccup. It's just I can see that it's like this regurgitation of the banalities you can scoop off the internet. It doesn't have the understanding of the context. And again, I admit maybe maybe you need to get better in guiding it and prompting and so on and so forth. But I'm kind of digressing by one of the recent examples which I saw off of internet, which is a little bit similar to what I've encountered with a number of things I tried to do, was when people asked ChatGPT to compare 1 ton of methanol and 1 ton of LNG, and like what's lighter, and it drew like half a page of justification for why LNG is lighter than methanol. 1 ton of LNG would be lighter than 1 ton of methanol. So I think the context is missing, unless you are spending a lot of time going granularly into prompting what you want to achieve. But then the question arises, aren't you spending as much time trying to do that as you would by just following your regular routine?
Yeah, I think, I mean, in our case, we use it for, for example, for writing job descriptions, or like doing like some basic research, which you normally would do with Google back in the days. But we can see that the first sophistication level really increases almost on a weekly basis. And ChatGPT is like a $20 a month solution.
That's another one that's an important, because you're using ChatGPT 4.
Yeah,
I'm using ChatGPT 3 version.
Okay.
So first of all, it's only 2021, and now it's updated to end of 2022.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's not as no, it's not as sophisticated.
I know it's not, but imagine one of us being cheap.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can always send it to me.
Definitely.
I prompted in mine.
Yeah.
My version. They were for friends.
yeah.
Yeah. No, so I think I mean obviously everybody played around with it a little bit, so we don't have to kind of go into what it can really do. I mean, it can, you know, it can compose a song, right? And can, I mean, like it's you can really go. I mean, I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole once and spent like quite a bit of time just test driving that thing, and it's pretty impressive what you can do. So let's see. Here, quick overview. What we want to cover here. Just you know, talking about AI and what it can do. Have a hopefully a little bit of discussion of what you guys are seeing or hoping AI can help you guys with. In this is focused on finance and accounting, so the corporate finance function. But you know, depending on your background, can certainly discuss other applications. And what's probably most interesting for you guys is a couple of the success stories I found, case studies from companies who are spending quite a bit of money on kind of tailored Gen AI solution for a specific problem and what return on investment they could generate. So there's a lot of information on the slide, but I just want to point out kind of how AI-powered automation and analytics kind of fit into the circle of the wider finance function. So here is really around the automation of capabilities with the focus of increasing productivity in the finance and accounting function. And you guys have probably read that as well, that it's really hard to find people and nobody wants to study it anymore. Nobody wants to sit for CPA. So one of the outcomes of this client-specific meeting we did like just 2 days ago was really to look into one specific work stream in finance and accounting and to see if we can find AI solutions to automate it further, because they cannot find people in the role, and if they find people, they don't stay long, and it's kind of getting more expensive than investing in technology. So that's a pretty interesting study that you know, 10% of finance organizations are using Gen AI today, but 80% expect that by 2026 it's going to play a role. And if you think about major ERPs like Oracle, SAP, Microsoft, they're all phasing in Gen AI functionality. So everybody's kind of getting on this topic, and that kind of first mover advantage is gonna go away here probably by the end of 2024. If you think, okay, you want to be faster with the organization in jumping into this. In my case, in our case with this client, they don't want to be necessarily first mover in their industry. They rather want to see how other organizations deal with it and then take some lessons learned and be a little bit more tailored in their approach. We did, I think this is from Gartner, that study. So just talking to CFOs about what the impact of Gen AI can be on their organization. The CFOs and finance leaders I talked to, they actually were more on the increased margin and efficiency side. So that was kind of ranked higher. Reduce costs certainly with workflow optimization and reducing FTEs in your organization. You can realize that. There's also like a measurable increase of the quality of the output once Gen AI knows once Gemini is trained the right way, the error rate is significantly reduced compared to humans kind of doing the tasks. So when you guys look at this, is that how you would have seen this, or what your reaction if you got the question? Okay, what do you see now? Not everybody in here is a CFO, but for your organization, does that resonate from a focus area? Yeah.
I think one thing that I would add here is that it does steer towards effectiveness a little bit as well. So reducing cost, increasing efficiency, yes, but also being more effective as a finance function. Just for the simple reason that the humans that were used to doing some non-value added tasks, like a lot of manual accounting work,
Right.
would shift focus towards numbers, more analytics, supporting the business. I think that's one thing that probably I have seen AI do.
Yeah, that's interesting. So when we had that discussion, so we basically had like a workshop with 30 people in that corporate accounting and finance function, and what the takeaway was really, initially people were concerned, hey, is that gonna do I lose my job because now technology comes in, and it's really not that. It's more like you said, focus on the value added tasks and take away the in the back in the days you would have large organization, you offshore it to India or some in some capacity, so that people got a little bit more comfortable with the idea to bring in Gen I, understanding that we really want that the management really wants them to focus on the value added tasks, and kind of getting the finance and accounting function from that perception 20 years ago, more like transactional. Okay, they close the books and do the monthly closing and then compliance, and then we do the audit, to like a business partner to the organization, working with the CFO, working with the chief sales officer, to really providing added value to the organization, being able to react faster on changes in the environment, being able to model cash flows and do more predictive activities, which in the past you had like, I mean, we all have seen these huge Excel files, and then somebody's pet fingering somewhere, and then your formula is gone. So getting away from this was one of the takeaways from that workshop. And it seems like here with the benefits of AI, there is like a 50-50 split between the benefit for the company and whatever that's growth, ROI, margin, whatever you want to define that, and then for the employee, really getting away from that tedious task. I mean, in this case, when they close the books, it's like 12-14-hour days, and really not good on their well-being, and a lot of, I see this with my teams here when we hire from college, people have a different perspective on work and how long is work, and if there's a deadline, and can I accommodate that with my private interests in my private life. It's just a different perspective, and you cannot make sure that they get what they need without using technology. Otherwise, then you always have these crunch times, and people are gonna leave.
In your workshop, was there any discussion of what is it going to cost us to develop AI?
Yeah, I mean, there's always like if a client invites their consultant, then there's always like the running gag. Okay, you gotta charge me like an arm and leg for that. There is some cost involved, obviously. We say be very targeted in what you want to improve. Don't try to apply these technologies on the whole organization. Pick a certain workflow, pick something, you have a specific pain point, and then set a strategy what you want to get out of the technology, as how do you measure success, and then and then see what we have done for other clients is that they went down the road, we helped them develop a strategy, what they want to get out, reduce, close books faster, reduce errors, be able to take information from, if you're like a heavy manufacturing, there's some impacts on material prices, but if they're open markets to that, you can basically marry your model with what's going on with the material prices, and then you can think about, okay, if you use hedge accounting for your pricing, so you can bring this all together in one model and make it work. And then once we know the client knows that this is what they want to do, then we go and basically look at what technology solutions are out there right now, and then to see if there's like an off-the-shelf solution. And then we have a couple clients, they say, okay, I call SAP and they develop this for me, and then costs like $5 million. But that's possible as well. But most of our middle market clients, they want to do something there. They're also willing to invest as long as they can see, like with every investment, an ROI, and say, okay, I can run this like with 2 FTEs less. That's like, $250,000 with benefits every year. Okay, Joe, you charge me 50 grand. Okay, that seems like it's good. It's a good fit.
How do your clients think about the ongoing costs, right? Because there will definitely be ongoing costs as they implement AI. The business changes, the environment changes, and I'm sure the models need to be updated.
Yeah, no, that's correct. And you might, so I don't know how much time you guys have spent in looking into these solution providers, but there are many startups out there. And then startups come into the market, and then some survive and some don't. And or get bought by Microsoft, and then Microsoft says, yeah, I want this piece of your technology, but the rest I don't care. And then if you are in the part of the rest I don't care, you have a problem. So that's also something we help kind of navigate. Okay, how mature are these organizations? But there's like with ERP updates, there's like a technology you cannot just buy it and then never update it.
Yeah, because in my experience, I did implement on a large accounting function, I implemented robotics. And in my experience, there wasn't a one-to-one match of cost saving. There wasn't. I would say that for one FT, there was only a 50% saving. The 50% would still remain in cost, because you would need some amount of, vetting the solution, some amount of human brain, even though you're only automating standard repeatable tasks. But you would still need some amount of human intelligence to continue to run the model effectively and make sure that the financial integrity doesn't get compromised.
But this is where one of the elements is missing here in the potential benefits, because everybody's talking about cost savings primarily as reduction of FTEs, right? Now, given that the turnover, as we witnessed, occurs primarily at the lower end and mid-range functionalities or positions, right, that are more populous, actually making the job less stressful and more meaningful, you actually improve the resiliency of the organization, because retention means resilience, because anyone out means somebody needs to be brought in. That's disruptive. And we all know it could be an analyst, it could be an accountant, so a lower end position, but then it's so critical that your entire process will crash.
Yeah.
Unless you have an immediate replacement, and then you can spend months
Yeah.
finding the person replacement.
And I agree with you. I think improve customer experience and even colleague experience, because it definitely redirects your employees towards maybe learning a new skill and improving their motivation, of course, saving time for them.
Yeah. What I tried here on this slide is just, and we can provide these to the group afterwards, just trying to see on the map, with what you can read in the news, where Gen AI really kind of lays in the holistic, place between, data science and artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning. And some of these, machine learning or robotics, this is like around for 10, 15 years now. So it's not really new.
Is it new? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not many adopted it, but it's been there.
Yeah. And so I found this interesting to see how Gen AI kind of fits into that environment. And typical examples, you guys have probably all, as an example for artificial intelligence, been frustrated with these chatbots everywhere, and they can never answer your question. So it's basically just a bunch of Q&As pre-populated, compared to and you might want to try this with, maybe it's not working with your version of ChatGPT, but it's really like telling and solution like ChatGPT to do something creative. Like I had it like write me a song, right? And then you got a prompt to say, okay, you want to have like a country and western or whatever your preferences. And it's a little bit, it takes a couple iterations, but that's for me is like where that generative AI comes in and really kind of takes the next leap on just being, repetitive, or just pulling all the information from the internet and bringing it together, kind of developing somewhat of own creativity. You got to prompt it right, but that's kind of what we want to take and transfer into business applications.
Question, of course, is what you call creativity.
Sure.
But in a way, the entire universe of AI, what we call AI, is regurgitation of existing data, existing creativity, algorithms, sophisticated algorithms. And then the counter argument isn't human intelligence or isn't human creativity the same, right? So you're not. I'm sure there are geniuses who are getting these ideas from nowhere, right? From cosmos. But then there are millions of musicians around the world, right? And songwriters or not, and they all have the foundation of reading somebody else's poems or listening to songs or learning how to play an instrument. So is it that much different? Just a quick observation from my end, because I went down a little bit down the rabbit hole several years ago with AI and machine learning and whatnot. I would really recommend, if you haven't looked at it, just out of curiosity quite yet, not in terms of playing with ChatGPT, but understanding what AI is and what ML is. Both Google and AWS have this course. They are free. So the initial they're free. I think you can find them on Coursera, and they're pretty good overview. I don't think you would need to go above the first level. I tried to, and I realized that I'm way past my time in terms of math and algorithms, which I did back at school. But this first initial layer of knowledge gives you pretty good understanding of what AI and ML is, and then you approach this whole playing now with ChatGPT, with any other creative platforms, just with eyes open, understanding where it's coming from.
Yeah, sure. So for this, I just want to put this in. I don't want to go through the details. Just want to show you guys the amount of applications. I think we came up with like 71 in totality, and then the different functionalities, how you can develop use cases for Gen AI for the audience. So finance and accounting, this is what we focus on here, but I just want to give you guys like a sense of that's not really the only application. So there's really like everywhere you can tap into that. So here is kind of an overview. We talked about robotic a little bit and how how this can develop from the robotic. The example here is consolidation intercompany. So for the non-accountants, if you have like a group financial statement, you have to basically eliminate the transactions within the subsidiaries so that you have that type of one company perspective. If you create your once a year or every quarter your consolidated financial statement. So it's a process where you have to map these transactions. If you have larger organizations, then there will be like thousands of transactions. Then you have different currencies, you have currency conversion, and people make mistakes when they put in the information. So it's pretty or can be pretty tedious. And then if you have an ERP application, normally they have like consolidation tool as part of that. So the idea is really to start at the beginning with the transaction processing, applying robotics and automation to help with that, and then thinking through strategically what you want to get out of your consolidation and intercompany, how that conceptually works, to lastly really start using advanced analytics and AI to be able to do these scenario analysis where you can say, okay, we have like a gray sky, blue sky, and our planned scenario. You look at the factors outside of your organization. Let's say you are an EV battery manufacturer and you need all these precious metals. So how's the market doing? Any new tariffs, importing them? Where's this coming from? Is there a new delay going through the Suez Canal? So there's so many variables that you pull this all into your model, and then you can really real time react or be a good business partner to your board and management if they ask, okay, what happens? What if you can do this in very little time? And once it's implemented, it's also pretty cost efficient. And that's kind of real, to your point, kind of getting away from the transactional more to that business partner, business intelligence type function. So for this, I think we said we do 2 use cases, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we looked at basically for my client, for you guys, we're gonna do like Coupa and SideTrade as an example. So Coupa basically is a solution which the company, and you can find these cases online. So Jabil is a $35 billion contract manufacturer, and they were looking into how to optimize their procurement spend. And to do that, there were thousands of activities, so it would be very, very cumbersome to have a human being looking into this and trying to identify ways to reduce manual research. And Coupa was the application they picked over the research of a Gen AI application to help him address that topic to improve their cost management and related controls. And we're able to apply it to the organization. And now Coupa handles 1 million purchase orders and provides visibility into the indirect spend, which is for non-finance people, again, the direct spend, everybody understands, it's kind of direct material costs, it's measurable, and the indirect spend is a little bit more convoluted and difficult to get transparency. So I don't know how much money they spend on that, getting that implemented, but it seems like it created an decent ROI for them.
What does it do?
My question. So what does it do essentially?
So basically goes in, it's layered over your ERP system, and you train it on what indirect costs it needs to look at. It looks for like something off, right? So you're gonna tell them, okay, this is what we expect that the indirect cost needs to look like, and it kind of goes through all these transactions in like no time, and just pops up, okay, here like this doesn't make sense, or this is not in line with
Like here's what to investigate further.
exactly. And then they identified a couple of areas where it was always the same root cause, and then you can tell them, okay, when you reach that point, the Gen AI, the application fixes it, whatever you tell them to do. Okay, this is like, you gotta, delete this journal entry, or, whatever the activity might be. But you can basically clean up your indirect spend and kind of eliminate also these transactions, because you can work with like very little thresholds. So in the normal world, you would say, okay, I have limited capacity, so I look only into, let's say, differences of $50,000, whatever you think is material. Don't have to do that. You can say, show me all differences, 5 cents, and that's what the application does for them in that case.
How do you get comfortable with the changes that you're making are accurate once you've tried to make those changes?
Yeah, so that's a good question. There's also that overarching question about data security, right? And cybersecurity, and how vulnerable are you going to be if you apply Gen AI in general. But yeah, I mean, what you need to do is when you start applying it, you wanna test it, and you probably want to run like mathematical test where you like what we do on the audit side, right? We basically define a threshold, and then we filter over the total population, and then we calculate an error, and then we extrapolate the error over the total population. Then if it's within your margin of error, what you can accept, then you wouldn't do anything. And if it's outside of the margin of error, then you need to investigate more.
So are these audit FTEs that would be like their job? That would be their job essentially.
Yeah. So what you want to do is you want to really prove it out. So when you go down this road, right, then once the strategy is set, you have different phases and iterations. How in the beginning you do it like in the sandbox, where you're basically not messing with any of the live data, and that's where you want to flush this out. Ideally, at the end, you want to feel so confident about it that you don't necessarily have people on staff who are doing this. Maybe you ask someone like me to come in every so often and do like a check, or when you do an update, then you do look at that, but you don't want to necessarily once it's live and proven, you don't want to, spend any time on it anymore. You just take it as the way it is.
But
And
it's continuous monitoring, right? It's continuous monitoring using algorithms. Is that what we're talking about?
I mean, you don't have to like continuously monitor it per se. I mean, it's a little bit driven by your personal or your organizational strategy, how you think about that technology, how risk averse you are. But
I mean, if they apply it to a process, then whenever that process moves, it's monitoring that and coming up with any exceptions.
or oh yeah, sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you said someone would come in and look at the process.
No, I'm talking about the AI is actually.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they do, like all the time. Yeah. Right.
Is there like a threshold of number of transactions you need for the bring value to the effort? Investment that you would make in?
Yeah, good question. So these examples, these are, I mean, large organizations, right? So they can spend a little bit more on this. So I think it really comes down to the process, what you want to improve, and spending the time up front. What do you want to use it for? What's your pain point? What's supposed to be addressed? And how do you measure the success? And then you think through, okay, is it worthwhile, the investment? So we had one example in this case through that workshop where we said, okay, there's an application on the procurement side for this client. Bringing the application would probably cost $500,000-$600,000, but the expected savings for the group could be $30 million. And then, you just need to think through, okay, how you run your company and what's an acceptable investment ROI. And then there's the follow-up costs for staying current with it. But that's how we help clients think through this. And some of these applications are, this is not that expensive actually. The challenge is being cheap on the front end, not spending enough time really thinking through, do I need it? What do I need it for? And how do I roll it out?
And I think in my experience, if you're constantly implementing sometimes, if there is less likelihood of it going wrong. I recall what we did was we did very thorough user testing, where the users were actually doing the work manually, but testing the results from the automation, and then also doing some of the parallel runs to ensure that they were parallelly able to see what the application is doing and if their earlier system is doing generated. So it did help build more confidence, I'd say. I wouldn't say that it was first time right, but build more confidence in the users to adopt it. And of course, it did take a little bit of building a few, I would say, checks and balances to ensure that there was at a periodic interval, annual, monthly, depending on whatever risk appetite is, checks and balances within the system, and to ensure that you're checking that the automation is working well.
Right. That's another interesting example. Interesting in a sense because it's not as big of a company. Okay, $500 million still, not small, but compared to 34 billion, not that big. And the interesting part here is that they really looked into process efficiency, but really in really small amounts, right? So they're really looking at collectability of customer invoices and certain patterns to basically tell customer managers how to okay, here's your short list of clients you need to reach out to, because they seem to fit into a pattern which we have seen. Some of that is historic data. They pull data from other similar companies in the industry, and really give advice to a human being and the organization how to okay, here's your short list of, and I think I need this for my clients actually, to help with the collections. But in any event, it's an interesting application where you really get to the point. It's not kind of running by itself. It's basically giving human beings advice how to which customers to reach out to and what strategies to apply to get the best outcome.
Do you remember how many clients they had?
Thousands.
Thousands.
Yeah. So it's always like, it seems like it's a little bit of a numbers game. So if you, to your point, right, when does it make sense?
Yeah.
So it seems like if you have a lot of transactions, a high volume of transactions, whatever it is, you can generate some good ROI on using Gen AI to optimize whatever that transaction entails.
Well, there is this mutuality in the numbers game, because to train the model, you need a lot of inputs. The more examples you're processing with the model, the better it's trained.
And it's learning.
Yeah. So in this case, I see they use 300 million transactions, which is probably good. If they tried to train it on their own transactions, which would be tens of thousands, it would not have been as good, I can mention. Because unless their transactions and their clients are very standardized, I mean, they look alike, all of them, yes. But then typically the challenge is not, as far as I understand, it's not even in the complexity of your process, but in the trainability of the AI application,
Yeah.
of the algorithm.
So what you're saying is that the difference between AI and Gen AI, because in the traditional AI model, there is really no training of the model, but I'm assuming Gen AI is where that's the development from AI to machine learning to Gen AI. Is that correct?
I cannot agree that AI was not about model training, because AI originated as algorithms that were trained on certain patterns.
Okay.
But my overarching point, without going into weeds, is that whenever we're talking about AI application, which helps us sort through repetitive tasks or through many entries, or there are thousands, it's nothing without training. You need to train the model, and to train the model, you need a lot of inputs. Because the more inputs you put in, the better fine-tuned it becomes.
Yeah. No, agreed. I think that's a good point. I mean, if you only run it into like a very segregated environment, it's not going to be the true value is really that you can bring in a ton of information from multiple sources at the same time, and you have these correlations you cannot normally easily put into a model. So, and then it gets better, it kind of evolves over time. I think we are at the end actually of our time slot with 6:30.
6:30.
So we're gonna open it up here with some drinks and some continued discussion.
Maybe guys online, do you have any questions before we switch you off?
In the chat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they haven't yet, chat.
Chat is.
Yeah.
How will AI change the auditing firms once the company is fully integrated?
What exactly do you mean when you say change the audit?
Yeah.
Like how audit firms are applying Gen AI to conduct audits, or how an audit firm would audit an organization which is using Gen AI?
The second way, how will they audit the organization? Will that change the processes?
Yeah, so the audit firm would also start applying Gen AI on conducting audit activities. So instead of auditing more samples, you can now audit complete populations of transactions. So it's basically it's probably not gonna reduce any audit fees or any activities. It's gonna be add some complexity also on the auditor side, because they need to look at the applied Gen AI models on the client side to understand, okay, how can we test this? Because you can use so many different solutions, not all of them. If you talk like, a Microsoft AI application or an SAP application, it's going to be very standardized for auditors as well. But if they're using one of the companies you probably haven't heard before, I put it on the slide here, then you need to develop your individual audit approach. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it is. So how, on average, how long does it take for a company to actually be comfortable in the AI, do journal entries and all those kind of things?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
How long does it take a company to be comfortable to trust AI to do journal entries and financial information like that?
It depends on a couple of things. One is the risk profile of the organization, or the risk appetite, right? So how much test rounds do you want to give your organization to feel like you can trust the outcome? And then the complexity of your organization. So, do you apply Gen AI, let's say, on one specific, purchase to pay process, or do you apply it to your whole, consolidation? And then lastly, the complexity of your business model itself. So are you, producing, variety of widgets with different inputs? So you have already a high complexity on the operational side, which is gonna give you some it will drive that you have to spend more time on getting Gen AI implemented and where you wanna have it to be. So it's hard to come up with like one general statement of how much time or what the cost would be.
Okay. I think I have one last question, and I'm sorry to ask many questions, sorry.
No, but
I think that was asked before. So when I use ChatGPT, if I want to look like company overview, financial information and all, everything it gave me is as of 2022. Is there a reason we don't go to 2023?
I think if it's pulling from SEC and publicly available filings, then the filing season just started a couple of weeks ago for accelerated filers in the United States. So I would think you would see more and more numbers from 2023 coming in now, because they're publicly available. The ChatGPT is basically scouting the internet, right? So they basically, it's basically looking at all the available resources, and if people haven't filed their 2023 financials yet, then they are probably not coming up in your search. But it should change. The accelerated filers, they already started filing. So depending on what company or what industry you're looking for, some of these numbers should come in now.
Depends on the version of ChatGPT. Free version is not going to be updated.
Oh, right. You
have to pay for the premium version.
Oh, and you gotta spend $20 on on the ChatGPT 4 probably.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the free version, they just updated to 2022. Yeah.
That must be what she's on. Technology or the data?
It's the data.
It's the data too, yeah.
It's the data, the sophistication of the models themselves. It's the
Are
thing.
you using the free version or are you using the pay version?
I'm using the free version.
Yeah, so it sounds like here from the group, they have some experience. Sounds like the free version might be limited to older information. It might not pull in 2023 yet.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
No, thanks. Great questions.